introduce is Pat Conlon. He's been with us maybe 6 months or so, and this is his 10th speech, which is the summation of the initial program. So the traditional Toastmasters book has 10 speeches and walks you through each. He's going to be doing the 10th one, and where he's going to be sharing everything he learned into one speech. And I'm sure it'll be good because I've seen his progress and I've seen his development. So it always makes me eager and interested to hear his speeches. So I'll welcome up Pat Conlon for speech number 10. And that speech is called Community Service. And do you have a book? Did you give it to your evaluator? Okay. So Pat Conlon.
Thanks, Steve. So I had trouble coming up with a speech or a topic for this speech. One of the greatest things of coming to Queen City Toastmasters is hearing all of the inspiring speeches from each member. Whether it's Art's speech about his lost loved ones who are still spiritually with them in the wind and the sea, or Lady Tamika's speeches on her bee power. They say you find inspiration in places you least expect it. I was visiting Boone, North Carolina this weekend, visiting one of my friends. I was staying at her apartment. Her roommates were out of town, so naturally, I had the natural inclination to use one of her roommates' bathrooms Sunday morning. I went into the bathroom and lifted up the seat, ready to take full advantage of this bathroom, when directly in front of me was a quote printed on a canvas. You know how girls these days, they like to decorate their apartments with these quotes that kind of seem classy and sophisticated? Well, her room was covered in quotes. But this one that stared directly at me while I stood in front of the toilet read, "You make a living by what you get. You make a life by what you give." That quote resonated in me as I pissed away a night of drinking. You make a living by what you get. You make a life by what you give. Winston Churchill said this quote back in 1908. And it is still applicable to today. Oftentimes we get wrapped up in what we're doing and we lose sight of the greater good. We take things for granted. A nice warm home, a nice warm meeting place. We don't think about other people who are out there suffering that need help, the little man. This is why I'm urging all of us right now to be more involved in our communities and to be a man or woman for others. Back in 2007, Mike was 16 years old. He was arrested for larceny in an attempt to join a gang. He was thrown in jail, even as a minor, for a couple days. He came out of jail and went back to his home to find nothing there. No parents, no furniture, none of his belongings, none of his clothes, nothing. The apartment completely empty. His parents had picked up, packed everything, and moved 4 states away, leaving him. So that night, he ventured to Freedom Park down the road and slept there on a bench for that night and the following 2 nights, until someone came across him from the Relatives, which is a house on East Boulevard where kids can go age 4 to 18 when their home situation is not ideal. So Mike was brought into the home, into the Relatives, where he stayed for a few days. But there was one stipulation. They had to get his parents to sign so he could be allowed to stay there. His parents, being 4 states away, wanting nothing to do with him, this was a big problem. Finally, they convinced his dad to come in. He crashed through the doors and said, "You're making a huge mistake. This kid's terrible. You're bringing him in here. All he is trouble." He didn't even look his own son in the eyes. But the relatives gave Mike a second chance, and they kept him at the house. He stayed there for a few months, got back on his feet, ended up completing his GED, and now is actually a manager at Best Buy and has his own apartment. He just needed a second chance, that little glimmer of hope from someone who was not around him at the time, not his family, not his friends, someone like you or me. After volunteering there for the past year, I really think I've made a little impact on some of these people's lives. Whether it's giving them a warm meal or just getting their mind off the fact that their family life sucks right now. We need to think about others who need help and who don't have it as good as us. So I came to Charlotte to make a living. But I also came to Charlotte to make a life and give back to others. Which is why we need to be more involved in our communities. They say white is the color of hope. And I think angels tend to wear a lot of white. And I'm not saying that I'm a saint or an angel, but maybe God, or whatever higher being out there, inspired me today to come here and to give this brief message on July 10th, 2012. So this being my last week in Charlotte, I just want to thank everyone for listening to me speak, and I also enjoyed meeting everyone and hearing all of you speak. I don't like to say goodbyes, but I will say I will see you on the flip side, Mr. Toastmaster.